Thursday, August 6th, 2026. Today's World News Headline Summary. 1. The Korea Times. 1-1. Foreign Minister vows efforts to create conditions for nuclear sub-project. South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Hyun announced that the ministry will actively seek to advance consultations with the United States regarding the conditions necessary to build nuclear-powered submarines. During a policy briefing, Cho emphasized the necessity of creating an environment for pursuing enrichment and reprocessing of spent nuclear fuel. The administration's diplomatic strategy for the second half of the year will focus on a virtuous cycle built upon self-reliance, the U.S. alliance, and international solidarity. Furthermore, the government aims to strengthen bilateral cooperation in strategic sectors, such as shipbuilding and trade. Regarding North Korea, the ministry remains committed to laying the groundwork for peaceful coexistence while pursuing a phased approach to denuclearization. Vocabulary. Vow. Verb. 공언하다, 맹세하다. The minister vowed to improve national security. Advance. Verb. 진전시키다. They agreed to advance the ongoing negotiations. Consultation. Noun. 협의, 상담. The policy was drafted after close consultation with experts. Enrichment. Noun. 농축. Uranium enrichment is heavily regulated globally. Reprocessing. Noun. 재처리. The facility handles the reprocessing of nuclear waste. Self-reliance. Noun. 자립, 자주. The nation's foreign policy prioritizes self-reliance. Solidarity. Noun. 연대, 결속. International solidarity is crucial during times of crisis. Coexistence. Noun. 공존. Peaceful coexistence is the ultimate goal of the treaty. Phased. Adjective. 단계적인. A phased approach will be implemented for the project. Denuclearization. Noun. 비핵화. Denuclearization talks have been stalled for years. 사사용어 해설. Uranium enrichment. 우라늄 농축. 우라늄 원광에서 추출한 물질 중 핵분열을 일으키기 쉬운 우라늄 235의 비율을 인위적으로 높이는 과정입니다. 원자력 발전이나 핵무기 제조에 필수적입니다. Virtuous cycle. 선순환. 하나의 좋은 현상이 다른 좋은 현상을 유발하여 긍정적인 결과가 연쇄적으로 이어지는 주기를 의미합니다.
1-2. Labor Minister says chip megacluster deregulation plan still not finalized. Labor Minister Kim Young-hoon stated that the proposed labor deregulation package for South Korea's planned semiconductor megacluster is still under review. Controversial policy ideas, such as lifting the 52-hour workweek cap for top-earning researchers and extending fixed-term contracts, have yet to be finalized. The nation's two largest umbrella labor organizations fiercely blasted the proposals, labeling them a rollback of basic worker protections. Minister Kim pledged to act as a coordinator by engaging in broader social dialogue with union leaders to find compromises. He emphasized that the debate should be treated as a chance to find opportunities amidst a crisis. Vocabulary. Deregulation. Noun. 규제완화. Deregulation of the airline industry lowered ticket prices. Cap. Noun. 성안선. The government imposed a cap on local taxes. Controversial. Adjective. 논란이 많은. The new policy proved to be highly controversial. Umbrella. Adjective. 포괄적인. 연합의. It is an umbrella organization that oversees smaller groups. Fiercely. Adverb. 맹렬하게. The proposal was fiercely opposed by the opposition party.
Rollback. Noun. 후퇴. 과거 상태로의 환원. Citizens protested the rollback of environmental protections. Pledge. Verb. 약속하다. 맹세하다. The mayor pledged to reduce crime in the city. Coordinator. Noun. 조정자. She works as a project coordinator for the NGO. Compromise. Noun. 타협. After hours of talks, they finally reached a compromise. Amidst, preposition, 무모의 한가운데. He managed to stay calm amidst the chaos. 시사용어 해설. Deregulation, 규제 완화. 기업이나 산업의 활동을 제한하는 정부의 법규나 규제를 줄이거나 없애는 것을 뜻합니다. 기업의 자유로운 활동을 돕기 위해 시행됩니다. Fixed term contract, 기간제 계약. 근로계약 기간이 정해져 있는 형태의 고용계약, 예 1년, 2년 계약직을 의미합니다. 1-3. President slams delay in return of former USFK sites. President Lee Jae-myung strongly criticized the prolonged delay in the return of former U.S. Forces Korea, USFK sites, stating that the slow process defies common sense. Lee argued that South Korea has fulfilled its obligations by spending over 10 trillion won to expand Camp Humphreys, yet many promised sites remain unavailable. During a joint policy briefing, he urged officials to expedite negotiations with Washington to reclaim the lands. The president underscored the importance of sequencing in diplomacy, warning against providing upfront assistance without simultaneous fulfillment of commitments. He reiterated that the principle of reciprocal action must be honored. Vocabulary. Slam. Verb. 맹비난하다. The president slammed the inefficient bureaucratic process. Prolonged. Adjective. 장기적인. A prolonged delay could jeopardize the entire agreement. Defy. Verb. 상식 등에 반하다. 거부하다. The magician's trick defies common sense. Obligation. Noun. 의무. The country fulfilled its treaty obligations on time. Expedite. Verb. 신속히 처리하다. We need to expedite the delivery of emergency supplies. Underscore. Verb. 강조하다. The report underscores the need for environmental protection. Sequencing. Noun. 순서 정하기. The sequencing of diplomatic steps was carefully planned. Upfront. Adjective. 선불해. 사전에. They demanded an upfront payment before starting work. Simultaneous. Adjective. 동시에. The festival featured simultaneous events across the city. Reciprocal. Adjective. 호의적인. 상호간에. The two nations signed a reciprocal trade agreement. 주. 시사 용어 해설. Defy common sense. 상식에 어긋나다. 일반적인 이치나 도리에 맞지 않음을 의미하는 수거입니다. Upfront assistance. 사전 지원. 결과나 보상이 확실히 보장되지 않은 상태에서 먼저 비용이나 자원을 제공하는 것을 말합니다. The Korea Herald 2-1. Lee stresses need to avoid politicizing foreign security policies. President Lee Jae-myung emphasized that foreign and national security policies should be insulated from partisan conflicts and political strife. Speaking at a joint policy briefing, he pointed out that in most advanced nations, such critical issues are generally not treated as ideological battlegrounds. The president warned that attempting to forcefully impose one's beliefs on others inevitably ends in conflict. Instead, he highlighted the necessity of persuasion, compromise, and finding a middle ground when dealing with hostile counterparts. Lee noted that minimizing resistance through strategic concessions is far more effective than coercion. Vocabulary. Politicize. Verb. 정치화하다. The committee should not politicize scientific research. Insulate. Verb. 보호하다. 절연하다. The central bank is insulated from political pressures. Partisan. Adjective. 당파적인. The bill passed with strong partisan support. Strife. Noun. 갈등, 불화. The region has suffered from decades of political strife. Impose. Verb. 부과하다, 강요하다. A new tax was imposed on luxury goods. Inevitably. Adverb. 필연적으로. His careless driving inevitably led to an accident. Persuasion. Noun. 설득. She possesses great powers of persuasion. Compromise. Noun. Tie up. The two parties finally reached a compromise. Hostile. Adjective. 적대적인. The troops advanced into hostile territory. Concession. Noun. 양보. The union demanded wage increases without any concessions. 시사용어 해설. Middle ground. 절충점. 대립하는 양극단 사이에서 양쪽이 조금씩 양보하여 도달하는 합의점을 뜻합니다. Ideological battleground. 이념적 전쟁터. 물리적 전쟁이 아닌 정치적 신념이나 사상을 두고 치열하게 논쟁하는 상황을 비유적으로 표현한 말입니다.
2-2. Seoul aims to set target year for wartime command transfer in fall, ministry. Defense Minister On Gyu-bak announced that South Korea will seek to establish a specific target year for the transfer of wartime operational control, OPCON, from the United States this fall. During a policy briefing, On indicated that discussions on the final timing would take place at the Security Consultative Meeting, SCM, in November. While the Allies have traditionally pursued a conditions-based transfer without a fixed deadline, Seoul now aims to attach a concrete timeline. The Lee administration hopes to complete the transfer by 2030, with 2028 being actively discussed. However, U.S. military officials maintain a more cautious stance based on capability assessments. Vocabulary. Wartime. Noun. 전시. 전쟁 중. Wartime economies require strict resource allocation. Operational. Adjective. 작전에, 운영상에. The power plant will be fully operational by next month. Consultative. Adjective. 자문에, 협의에. The committee serves in a consultative role to the board. Concrete. Adjective. 구체적인. We need concrete evidence to proceed with the trial. Timeline. Noun. 일정표, 시한. The project timeline has been delayed due to bad weather. Administration. Noun. 행정부. The current administration is focusing on tax reforms. Actively. Adverb. 적극적으로. She is actively looking for a new job. Cautious. Adjective. 신중한. The investors took a cautious approach to the new market. Capability. Noun. 능력, 역량. The military is upgrading its defensive capabilities. Assessment. Noun. 평가. An environmental impact assessment is mandatory. 시사 용어 해설. OPCON. 전시작전 통제권. 전쟁 시 군대의 작전을 지휘, 통제할 수 있는 권한입니다. 현재 한국군의 전적권은 한미연합사령관에게 있습니다. Conditions-based transfer. 조건에 기초한 전환. 특정 날짜를 미리 정하지 않고 한국군이 연합작전을 주도할 수 있는 군사적 조건을 갖추었을 때 권한을 넘겨주는 방식입니다.
2-3. Government to consider creating agency dealing exclusively with youth policy. The South Korean government is considering the establishment of a new agency dedicated exclusively to youth policies. This initiative aims to focus on measures that resonate more directly with younger generations. The plan was reported during a policy briefing to President Lee Jae-myung, who heavily stressed the need for a specialized organization for the youth. Additionally, the government plans to create a coordinating committee and hold ministerial meetings to discuss related issues. Officials are also exploring the foundation of a research institute specializing in youth policy and introducing an index to measure actual policy impact. Vocabulary. Exclusively. Adverb. 독점적으로, 전담하여. This lane is used exclusively by buses. Initiative. Noun. 주도권, 새로운 계획. The government launched a new health initiative. Resonate. Verb. 공감하게 하다, 울려 퍼지다. The speaker's message resonated deeply with the students. Generation. Noun. 세대. The younger generation is very tech-savvy. Dedicated. Adjective. 헌신적인, 전담해. We have a dedicated team for customer support. Coordinate. Verb. 조정하다, 조직화하다. She will coordinate the relief efforts after the disaster. Ministerial. Adjective. 장관급의. A ministerial meeting was held to discuss the crisis. explore. Verb. 탐구하다, 모색하다. They are exploring new ways to generate renewable energy. Institute. Noun. 기관, 연구소. He works as a researcher at a scientific institute. Index. Noun. 지표, 색인. The consumer price index rose again this month. 시사용어 해설. Agency. 청, 전담기관. 특정한 행정 업무를 전문적으로 처리하기 위해 정부 내에 설치하는 독자적인 부서나 기관을 말합니다. 인덱스, 지표, 지수. 물가, 경제성장, 혹은 정책의 효과 등 어떤 사실이나 현상의 상태를 수치로 나타내어 비교하기 쉽게 만든 기준입니다.
3. CNN. 3-1. U.S. says Strait of Hormuz is free and open, as Besant signals deal with Iran is close. The U.S. military has declared that the southern route of the Strait of Hormuz remains free and open for commercial shipping, mitigating fears of a global energy supply bottleneck. This announcement aligned with remarks from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who indicated that an agreement with Iran to reopen the critical waterway could be finalized within days. Consequently, international oil benchmarks experienced a sharp decline as market apprehensions eased. Diplomatic sources revealed that Oman and Pakistan are actively mediating the indirect talks between Washington and Tehran. The resolution of this choke point crisis is viewed as a pivotal step toward normalizing regional maritime traffic. Vocabulary. Commercial. Adjective. 상업적인. Commercial flights were suspended during the storm. Mitigate. Verb. 완화하다, 경감시키다. Trees help to mitigate the effects of air pollution. Bottleneck. Noun. 병목 현상. The narrow bridge is a major traffic bottleneck. Align. Verb. 나란히 하다, 일치시키다. The company needs to align its goals with market trends. Benchmark. Noun. 기준점, 지표. Brent crude is a major benchmark for global oil prices. Apprehension. Noun. 우려, 불안. There is widespread apprehension about the economic outlook. Mediate. Verb. 중재하다. The UN attempted to mediate a peace agreement. Indirect. Adjective. 간접적인. He made an indirect reference to the recent scandal. Choke point. Noun. 요충지, 막히기 쉬운 곳. The canal is a strategic choke point for global shipping. Normalize. Verb. 정상화하다. Diplomatic relations were normalized after years of tension. 호르무즈 해역. 전 세계 석유 무역량의 약 20%가 통과하는 중동의 가장 중요한 에너지 수송로입니다. 유가 벤치마크. 원유 시장에서 가격의 기준이 되는 대표적인 원유, 브렌트유, WTI 등을 말합니다. 3-2. U.S. fired 80% of its THAAD interceptor stockpile during war with Iran. A recent assessment revealed that the United States has depleted approximately 80% of its Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, THAAD, missile interceptor stockpile during its military engagements with Iran. Furthermore, U.S. forces have reportedly expended roughly half of their Patriot air defense missiles. This rapid depletion has raised alarms among military officials and Middle Eastern allies regarding Washington's capability to deter future threats. However, the White House strongly countered these reports, asserting that the U.S. possesses more than enough munitions to fulfill strategic goals. President Donald Trump emphasized that American defense contractors are expanding production at record levels to replenish the inventory. Vocabulary. Deplete. Verb. 고갈시키다. Years of farming have depleted the soil of nutrients. Stockpile. Noun. 비축량, 재고. The government maintains a stockpile of medical supplies. Engagement. Noun. 교전, 참여. The troops suffered heavy casualties during the engagement. Expend. Verb. 소비하다. They expended a lot of energy trying to fix the machine. Deter. Verb. 단념시키다, 억제하다. High fines are intended to deter illegal dumping. Counter.
Verb. 반박하다. 대응하다. He countered their accusations with solid evidence. Assert. Verb. 강력히 주장하다. She continued to assert her innocence. Munition. Noun. 탄약. 군수품. The factory was converted to produce munitions. Contractor. Noun. 도급업자. 방산업체. The military hired a private contractor to build the base. Replenish. Verb. 보충하다. You need to replenish your fluids after a heavy workout. 시사용어 해설. Interceptor missile. 유격 미사일. 적의 미사일이나 항공기가 아군의 목표물에 도달하기 전에 공중에서 맞추어 파괴하기 위해 발사되는 방어용 미사일입니다. FAD. 고고도 미사일 방어 체계. 적의 탄도미사일이 목표물을 향해 떨어지는 마지막 단계에서 높은 고도, 성층권에서 요격하는 미국의 핵심 미사일 방어 체계입니다.
Number 3. Iran's deputy FM. No talks with U.S. underway over Strait of Hormuz. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi strictly denied assertions that Iran is currently negotiating directly with the United States regarding the Strait of Hormuz. In a televised interview, he described the ongoing discussions with Oman as strictly bilateral matters, dismissing claims of U.S. involvement as false. Garibabadi clarified that there have been no negotiations with Washington in recent days. This public denial directly contradicts statements made by U.S. President Donald Trump, who claimed that a deal to reopen the strategic waterway was imminent. The conflicting narratives highlight the deep diplomatic complexities surrounding the Middle East conflict. Vocabulary. Strictly. Adverb. 엄격하게. The rules must be strictly followed by everyone. Deny. Verb. 부인하다. 부정하다. The suspect denied all the charges against him. Assertion. Noun. 주장. We have no evidence to support his assertion. Bilateral. Adjective. 양자의, 쌍방의. The two nations signed a bilateral trade agreement. Dismiss. Verb. 일축하다, 기각하다. The judge dismissed the case due to lack of evidence. Clarify. Verb. 명확히 하다. Please clarify your main point in the conclusion. Contradict. Verb. 모순되다, 반박하다. Her testimony contradicted the police report. Statement. Noun. 성명, 진술. The company issued an official statement regarding the delay. Imminent. Adjective. 임박한. The dark clouds suggest that a storm is imminent. Complexity. Noun. 복잡성. The complexity of the human brain is fascinating. 시사용어 해설. Bilateral. 양자간에. 두 나라 사이에 라는 뜻으로 두 국가가 직접 만나 협상하거나 조약을 맺을 때 사용하는 외교 용어입니다. 반대로 여러 나라가 참여하면 multilateral, 다자간에이라고 합니다. 4. BBC 4-1. Drone explosives at Leipzig Airport. A major security incident occurred at Leipzig Airport in Germany when a drone carrying explosives was discovered on the premises. Authorities immediately suspended all flights to ensure passenger safety while emergency response teams secured the area. Bomb disposal experts were quickly deployed to safely handle and neutralize the hazardous device. Following a thorough inspection and clearance operation, one of the runways was eventually reopened to resume limited air traffic. This alarming event underscores the growing vulnerability of civilian aviation infrastructure to unmanned aerial threats. Vocabulary. Premises. Noun. 군의, 부지. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed on the premises. Suspend. Verb. 유보하다. 중단하다. The referee suspended the match due to heavy rain. Disposal. Noun. 처리. 처분. Proper waste disposal is essential for public health. Deploy. Verb. 배치하다. 전개하다. The military deployed thousands of troops to the border. Neutralize. Verb. 무력화하다. The soldiers managed to neutralize the enemy's attack. Hazardous. Adjective. 위험한. Workers must wear gear when handling hazardous chemicals. Thorough. Adjective. 철저한. The police conducted a thorough investigation of the scene. Resume. Verb. 재개하다. Normal services will resume tomorrow morning. Vulnerability. Noun. 취약성. The software update patches a critical security vulnerability. Aviation. Noun. 항공술. He has a deep interest in the history of civil aviation. 시사용어 해설. Unmanned aerial threats. 무인 항공기 위협. 조종사가 직접 타지 않고 원격으로 조종되는 기기, 드론 등을 이용하여 군사기지나 민간시설을 타격하는 행위를 의미합니다. Bomb disposal. 폭발물 처리. 테러 목적으로 설치된 폭탄이나 위험물을 해체하고 폐기하는 전문적인 군사, 경찰 작전입니다.
4-2. BP profits surged to highest since 2022 amid Middle East conflict. British energy giant BP has reported a massive surge in quarterly profits, reaching its highest levels since 2022. This financial windfall was primarily driven by the escalating conflict in the Middle East, which has significantly pushed up global oil and gas prices. The soaring energy costs have provided a much-needed financial boost for BP's management to steady the company's operations. However, these extraordinary earnings, achieved during a geopolitical crisis, have sparked political backlash across various nations. Lawmakers are increasingly advocating for heightened regulatory scrutiny and the potential implementation of windfall taxes on energy producers. Vocabulary. Surge. Noun/verb. 급증하다. There has been a recent surge in housing prices. Windfall. Noun. 뜻밖의 횡재. The lottery winner received a massive financial windfall. Primarily. Adverb. 주로. The policy is primarily aimed at helping small businesses. Escalate. Verb. 악화되다. 확대되다. The minor argument escalated into a full-blown conflict. Soar. Verb. 급등하다. 치솟다. Stock prices soared after the positive earnings report. Extraordinary. Adjective. 비범한. 엄청난. The team achieved extraordinary success this season. Backlash. Noun. 반발. The government faced a severe backlash over the new law. Lawmaker. Noun. 입법자. 국회의원. Lawmakers are debating the controversial education bill. Advocate. Verb. 지지하다. 옹호하다. Scrutiny. Noun. 정밀 조사. The bank's financial records are under intense scrutiny. 시사용어 해설. Windfall profit. 횡재 이익. 기업이 자체적인 혁신이나 경영 노력이 아닌 외부의 특수한 환경 변화, 전쟁, 유가 급등 등으로 인해 우연히 얻게 된 막대한 이익을 말합니다. Windfall tax. 횡재세. 기업이 횡재 이익을 독식하는 것을 막고 이를 사회에 환원하기 위해 정부가 예외적으로 부과하는 세금입니다.
4/3. Indian flagged vessel struck by projectile near Yemen. An Indian-flagged commercial vessel capsized and sank near Yemen after being struck by an unidentified projectile. Fortunately, India's shipping minister confirmed that all 14 seafarers on board the ill-fated ship were successfully rescued. The attack has heightened tensions in the already volatile Red Sea region. Yemen's transportation ministry explicitly accused the Houthi rebels of orchestrating the assault using an explosive-laden boat. Despite these serious allegations, the Houthis have not claimed responsibility for the incident, leaving the exact origins of the attack somewhat ambiguous. Vocabulary. Capsize. Verb. 전복시키다. 뒤집히다. The small boat capsized in the rough waves. Unidentified. Adjective. 정체불명의. The radar detected an unidentified flying object. Projectile. Noun. 발사체. The soldier took cover from the incoming projectile. Seafarer. Noun. 선원. 뱃사람. The charity provides support for retired seafarers. Ill-fated. Adjective. 불운한. 불행한. The ill-fated expedition ended in a complete disaster. Volatile. Adjective. 변동성이 큰. 불안정한. The stock market has been highly volatile this week.
5. ABC Australia. 5-1. Australia's competition watchdog opens mobile network inquiry. Australia's competition regulator has initiated a comprehensive year-long antitrust inquiry into the state of mobile network competition in regional areas. The central focus of the investigation is to determine whether telecommunications companies should be mandated to allow customers access to rival networks where their own coverage is unavailable. This practice, known as domestic roaming, gained significant traction after a 2024 review recommended government intervention. Although a formal directive was never issued, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, chose to launch the inquiry independently. The outcome could radically reshape connectivity and market dominance in rural Australia. Vocabulary. Regulator. Noun. 규제기관. The financial regulator imposed strict rules on banks. Initiate. Verb. 착수하다. 시작하다. The hospital initiated a new patient care program. Comprehensive. Adjective. 종합적인, 포괄적인. The book provides a comprehensive overview of world history. Mandate. Verb. 의무화하다, 명령하다. The law mandates that all cars must have seatbelts. Rival. Noun. Adjective. 경쟁자위. The two rival companies are battling for market share. Traction. Noun. 호응, 바퀴 등이 견인력. The environmental campaign is gaining traction among youths. Intervention. Noun. 개입, 간섭. Government intervention was necessary to save the industry. Independently. Adverb. 독립적으로. The team operates independently of the main branch. Radically. Adverb. 근본적으로, 급진적으로. The internet has radically changed how we communicate. Dominance. Noun. 지배, 우위. 5-2. Carnival cruise ship investigated after whistleblower alleges horrifying conditions. Australian federal investigators boarded a Carnival cruise ship in Darwin following explosive allegations from a whistleblower regarding severe worker exploitation. According to ABC News Australia, crew members were reportedly subjected to horrifying conditions, working 10-hour shifts without days off for wages as low as $2.50 an hour. The reports also alleged that workers had to pay for safe drinking water out of their meager earnings. Maritime unions criticized the cruise line for utilizing legal loopholes to employ foreign workers while bypassing Australian labor laws. In response, Carnival maintained that they respect the investigation process and adhere strictly to international maritime requirements. Vocabulary. Investigator. Noun. 조사관. The investigators collected evidence from the scene. Explosive. Adjective. 폭발적인, 충격적인. The journalist published an explosive report on corruption. Allegation. Noun. 증거 없는 혐의, 주장. She strongly denied the allegations of fraud. Exploitation. Noun. 착취. The documentary exposes the exploitation of child labor. Subject to. Verb phrase. 에 시달리게 하다.
The metal was subjected to extreme heat during the test. Meager. Adjective. 빈약한. He tried to support his family on a meager income. Loophole. Noun. 법적 허점. Tax attorneys are experts at finding loopholes in the law. Bypass. Verb. 우회하다. 건너뛰다. They bypassed the heavy traffic by taking a country road. Adhere to. Verb phrase. 뭐뭇을 고수하다, 준수하다. All employees must strictly adhere to the safety guidelines. Maritime. Adjective. 해양에, 바다에. The museum has a vast collection of maritime artifacts. 추사용어 해설. Whistleblower. 내부 고발자. 자신이 속한 조직 내에서 일어나는 불법 행위, 비리 등을 외부에 알리는 사람을 말합니다. Legal loophole. 법적 허점. 법률의 모호한 부분이나 규정되지 않은 틈을 이용하여 사실상 법의 취지를 어기면서도 처벌은 피할 수 있는 구멍을 의미합니다. 5-3. Rental growth is starting to slow in parts of the country. New data released by Domain indicates that the previously rampant rental growth is finally beginning to slow down in various parts of Australia. Nicola Powell, a senior economist at Domain, explained that the national rental market is becoming increasingly fragmented across capital cities. Rather than a uniform increase, some specific suburbs are already exhibiting a decline in asking rents. This shift suggests that tenants have reached the absolute limit of affordability, forcing landlords to adjust their pricing expectations. The cooling trend provides a glimmer of hope for renters who have struggled with astronomical housing costs over the past few years. Vocabulary. Rampant. Adjective. 걷잡을 수 없는, 만연한. Rampant inflation is destroying the country's economy. Fragmented. Adjective. 분열된, 파편화된. The market is highly fragmented with many small competitors. Uniform. Adjective. 획일적인, 균일한. The temperatures remained uniform throughout the greenhouse. Suburb. Noun. 교외, 외곽 지역. They moved from the crowded city to a quiet suburb. Exhibit. Verb. 보이다, 전시하다. The patient began to exhibit signs of improvement. Decline. Noun. 감소, 하락. There has been a steady decline in the birth rate. Tenant. Noun. 세입자. The landlord requested the tenant to pay the rent on time. Affordability. Noun. 감당할 수 있는 비용. Housing affordability is a major issue for young couples. Landlord. Noun. 집주인, 임대인. The landlord agreed to fix the broken heater immediately. Astronomical. Adjective. 천문학적인, 매우 방대한. The cost of the new stadium was astronomical. 상식. Asking rent. 호가 임대료. 집주인이 집을 빌려주기 위해 시장에 처음 내놓을 때 요구하는 월세나 전세 가격을 의미합니다. Affordability. 지불 능력, 감당 여력, 소비자가 특정 상품이나 서비스, 여기서는 주택 임대료를 자신의 소득으로 무리 없이 지불할 수 있는 능력을 말합니다.
6. CGTN 6-1. Italy to present formal request to hike deficit. Italy's economy minister announced plans to formally request Parliament's approval to increase the national budget deficit later this year. The formal request is expected to be submitted between September and October, following crucial consultations with the European Union. This move reflects the severe economic pressures facing Rome, as it balances the need for economic stimulus with managing its towering public debt. Navigating the EU's strict fiscal rules remains a delicate and challenging task for the Italian government. The requested deficit hike could spark wider debates regarding fiscal flexibility and economic stability within the Eurozone. Vocabulary. Formal. Adjective. 공식적인. The ambassador issued a formal apology to the host nation. Deficit. Noun. 적자. The country is struggling to reduce its trade deficit. Submit. Verb. 제출하다. Please submit your application by Friday. Crucial. Adjective. 중대한, 결정적인. Proper funding is crucial to the project's success. Stimulus. Noun. 자극, 부양책. The central bank provided an economic stimulus package. Towering. Adjective. 막대한, 우뚝 솟은. The country is burdened by towering national debt. Delicate. Adjective. 까다로운, 섬세한. Negotiating the peace treaty is a very delicate process. Spark. Verb. 촉발하다. The sudden tax increase sparked nationwide protests. Flexibility. Noun. 유연성. The new schedule allows for greater flexibility at work. Stability. Noun. 안정성. Political stability is essential for attracting foreign investment. 시사용어 해설. Budget deficit. 예산 적자. 국가가 걷어들인 세금보다 지출한 돈이 더 많은 상태입니다. 적자가 누적되면 국가 부채가 늘어납니다. Economic stimulus. 경제 부양책. 경기가 침체되었을 때 정부가 돈을 풀거나 세금을 깎아주어 경제 활동을 활성화하려는 정책입니다.
6-2. UK's FCA simplifies IPO rules to support UK listings. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, has implemented new, simplified initial public offering, IPO, listing rules, effective from August 5, 2026.
These significant regulatory reforms are designed to reduce execution risk for issuers and lower the overall compliance costs associated with going public. By streamlining the regulatory framework, the FCA aims to make it considerably easier for companies to access public markets in the United Kingdom. This strategic move is widely seen as an effort to boost the competitiveness of the London Stock Exchange against global financial hubs. Ultimately, the simplified rules are expected to encourage more firms to list in the UK. Vocabulary. Implement. Verb. 시행하다, 실행하다. The school decided to implement a new uniform policy. Effective. Adjective. 유효한, 발효되는. The new traffic law is effective immediately. Execution. Noun. 실행, 집행. The brilliant plan failed due to poor execution. Issuer. Noun. 발행인, 주식 발행 회사. The bond issuer is responsible for paying interest on time. Compliance. Noun. 규정의 준수. The company was fined for non-compliance with safety rules. Streamline. Verb. 간소화하다. They introduced new software to streamline the workflow. Framework. Noun. 체제, 뼈대. The Constitution provides the legal framework for the nation. Considerably. Adverb. 상당히. The cost of building materials has increased considerably. Competitiveness. Noun. 경쟁력. Innovation is key to maintaining global competitiveness. Domestic. Adjective. 국내. The airline operates mainly on domestic routes. 시사용어 해설. IPO. 기업 공개. 소수만 소유하던 회사의 주식을 처음으로 주식시장에 내놓아 일반 대중이 살 수 있게 공개하는 절차입니다. Compliance costs. 규제 준수 비용. 기업이 정부의 법이나 규제를 지키기 위해 추가로 써야 하는 비용, 법률 자문, 서류 작성 등을 의미합니다.
Number 6. 3. Volker Turk. New talks between Lebanon and Israel to take place. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk announced that fresh diplomatic talks between Lebanon and Israel are scheduled to take place in Rome on August 4. These high-level negotiations represent a critical effort to de-escalate the ongoing border disputes and armed conflicts that have plagued the Middle East. Facilitating direct or mediated dialogue is seen as an essential step to prevent further regional destabilization. The international community is closely monitoring the outcome of this summit, hoping it will pave the way for a more sustainable ceasefire. Diplomatic observers emphasize that mutual compromises will be vital for any long-term resolution. Vocabulary. Diplomatic. Adjective. 외교회. She has a long career in diplomatic services. Negotiate. Verb. 협상하다. The two sides are trying to negotiate a peace treaty. De-escalate. Verb. 상황을 완화하다. The police tried to de-escalate the tense situation. Dispute. Noun. 분쟁, 논쟁. The territorial dispute has lasted for over a century. Plague. Verb. 괴롭히다. The project has been plagued by continuous financial problems. Facilitate. Verb. 촉진하다, 돕다. The new software will facilitate better communication. Destabilization. Noun. 불안정화. Political corruption led to the destabilization of the country. Monitor. Verb. 주시하다, 추적 관찰하다. We will closely monitor the patient's heart rate. Pave. Verb. 길을 닦다, 열다. His research paved the way for modern medicine. Resolution. Noun. 해결, 결의안. They hope for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. 시사용어 해설. De-escalate. 완화하다. 군사적 긴장이나 폭력적인 갈등 상황의 강도를 낮추고 진정시키는 것을 뜻합니다. Bilateral/mediated dialogue. 양자/중재 대화. 당사자끼리 직접 만나 대화하는 것을 양자 대화. 제3자, UN 등이 가운데서 의견을 조율해주는 것을 중재 대화라고 합니다.
7. NHK World Japan. 7-1. Coca-Cola Japan tests label-free bottled water in Tokyo vending machines. In a major step to combat plastic waste, Coca-Cola Japan has begun testing the sale of label-free bottled mineral water in selected Tokyo vending machines. According to an NHK World Japan report, the mandatory product information, which traditionally appears on plastic wrap labels, is now printed directly on the bottle caps. This innovation was made possible by a recent change to a ministerial ordinance that allows manufacturers to sell label-free beverages individually rather than exclusively by the case. The Japan Soft Drink Association estimates that removing these labels nationwide could reduce plastic consumption by approximately 350 tons annually. Vocabulary. Combat. Verb. 방지하다. 싸우다. We must take action to combat climate change. Mandatory. Adjective. 의무적인. Wearing a helmet is mandatory for construction workers. Traditionally. Adverb. 전통적으로. Thanksgiving is traditionally a time for family gatherings. Innovation. Noun. 혁신. The tech company is known for its continuous innovation. Ordinance. Noun. 법령. 조례. The city council passed a new noise control ordinance. Exclusively. Adverb. 독점적으로. 오로지. This discount is available exclusively to club members. Estimate. Verb. 추산하다. They estimate that the project will take 3 months. Consumption. Noun. 소비. The new engine is designed to reduce fuel consumption. Approximately. Adverb. 대략, 약. The journey will take approximately 2 hours. Eco-friendly. Adjective. 친환경적인. Using reusable bags is an eco-friendly habit. 시사용어 해설. Ministerial Ordinance. 부령, 장관령. 국회에서 만든 법률 아래에서 행정부의 각 부처 장관이 정하는 구체적인 규칙이나 명령을 말합니다. By the case. 박스, 묶음 단위로. 물건을 낱개, 개별로 팔지 않고 상자나 큰 묶음 통째로 파는 방식을 의미합니다.
7-2. U.S. aircraft carrier makes port call in Vietnam. A United States Navy aircraft carrier has made a highly symbolic port call in Vietnam, highlighting the deepening military ties between the two former adversaries. The strategic visit is widely interpreted as a mutual effort to counter China's growing maritime assertiveness and military expansion in the contested South China Sea. Hosting one of America's most powerful naval assets sends a strong message of deterrence to regional actors. The port call underscores Washington's commitment to maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific region. This development reflects a significant geopolitical shift, cementing Vietnam's role as a crucial security partner for the U.S. in Southeast Asia. Vocabulary. Port call. Noun. 기항, 입항. The submarine made a brief port call to resupply. Symbolic. Adjective. 상징적인. The exchange of gifts was a symbolic gesture of peace. Adversary. Noun. 적, 상대방. The two countries were adversaries during the Cold War. Strategic. Adjective. 전략적인. The island holds a highly strategic position in the ocean. Assertiveness. Noun. 자기 주장, 단호함. China's maritime assertiveness has concerned its neighbors. Expansion. Noun. 확장, 팽창. The company is planning a rapid expansion into Europe. Deterrence. Noun. 억지력. Nuclear weapons act as a strong deterrence against war. Underscore. Verb. 강조하다. The tragic accident underscores the need for better safety. Geopolitical. Adjective. 지정학적인. The treaty caused a massive geopolitical shift in the region. Cement. Verb. 확고히 하다. The victory cemented his reputation as the best coach. 시사용어 해설. Port call. 기항. 군함이나 상선이 물자를 보급받거나 외교적 목적을 띠고 잠시 다른 나라의 항구에 들르는 것을 뜻합니다. Deterrence. 억지력. 적이 공격을 해올 경우 엄청난 피해를 입을 것이라고 경고함으로써 아예 공격할 엄두를 내지 못하게 만드는 힘이나 전략입니다.
7-3. Concerns increasing over radio for abductees in North Korea. There are growing concerns in Japan regarding the future of the shortwave radio broadcasts dedicated to Japanese citizens abducted by North Korea. A Japanese support group, which has been producing the program since 2005, is urgently calling on the government to increase the number of transmitters operated by NHK. They argue that expanded infrastructure is vital to ensure the program can continue to effectively penetrate the heavily censored North Korean airwaves. This radio broadcast serves as a critical lifeline, providing hope and outside information to the isolated abductees. The issue highlights the ongoing human rights tragedy and Japan's persistent efforts to repatriate its citizens. Vocabulary. Concern. Noun. 우려, 걱정. There is growing concern over the lack of clean water. Abductee. Noun. 피납치자, 납치된 사람. The government is working to safely return the abductees. Shortwave. Noun. 단파, 라디오 파동. Shortwave radio is used for long-distance broadcasting. Dedicated. Adjective. 전담해, 헌신적인. This channel is dedicated to educational documentaries. Transmitter. Noun. 송신기. The radio station installed a new transmitter on the hill. Penetrate. Verb. 침투하다. 뚫고 들어가다. The drill managed to penetrate the thick concrete wall. Censor. Verb. 검열하다. The authoritarian regime heavily censors the internet. Lifeline. Noun. 생명선, 구명줄. The monthly allowance is a lifeline for the poor family. Isolated. Adjective. 고립된. The remote village was isolated by the heavy snowfall. Repatriate. Verb. 본국으로 송환하다. After the war, efforts began to repatriate the prisoners. 시사용어 해설. Shortwave radio. 단파 라디오. 전파가 지구의 전리층에 반사되어 산이나 건물 등 장애물을 넘어 매우 먼 거리까지 전달될 수 있는 라디오 방식입니다. 북한처럼 외부 정보가 차단된 곳에 방송을 보낼 때 쓰입니다.
8. AlJazeera.com. 8-1. Pope Leo XIV to visit Peru, Argentina, and Uruguay in November. Pope Leo XIV is scheduled to make his first official trip to Latin America as the head of the Catholic Church this coming November. His highly anticipated itinerary includes pastoral visits to Peru, Argentina, and Uruguay. This journey carries profound personal significance for the pontiff, marking a return to the region that heavily shaped his early ministry. The Pope spent decades serving as a missionary and later as a bishop in Peru before ascending to the papacy. The upcoming visit is expected to deeply resonate with millions of faithful followers across the South American continent. Vocabulary. Official. Adjective. 공식적인. The president is making an official visit to France. Anticipated. Adjective. 기대되는. The highly anticipated movie finally hit theaters. Itinerary. Noun. 여행 일정표. We carefully planned our travel itinerary for the trip. Pastoral. Adjective. 목회자의. The priest provided pastoral care to the sick. Profound. Adjective. 깊은, 심오한. Her speech had a profound impact on the audience. Ministry. Noun. 목회, 성직. He dedicated his life to his pastoral ministry. Missionary. Noun. 선교사. The young missionary traveled to Asia.
O Africa to build schools. Ascend, verb, 오르다. He eventually ascended to the position of CEO. Resonate, verb, 공명하다, 울림을 주다. The message of the song resonates with many teenagers. Faithful, noun/adjective. 신자들, 충실한. The faithful gathered at the square to hear the sermon. 시사용어 해설. Pontiff/papacy. 교황, 교황직. Pontiff는 로마 가톨릭 교회의 최고 지도자인 교황을 가리키는 다른 단어입니다. papacy는 교황의 지위, 임기 또는 교황청 자체를 의미합니다. 8-2. Nigeria cannot build safe schools in unsafe communities.
A recent rescue operation freed 39 pupils and 6 teachers in Nigeria after 56 days in captivity, bringing relief but exposing deep systemic failures. Following the infamous Chibok abduction in 2014, the Nigerian government launched the Safe Schools Initiative, SSI, to fortify educational facilities. Despite allocating substantial funds for fences and guards, mass abductions by armed groups stubbornly continue across the nation. Critics argue that the SSI falls short because it only addresses the physical perimeter of schools. Ultimately, Nigeria cannot guarantee child safety within schools, while surrounding communities remain compromised by rampant insecurity. Vocabulary. Captivity. Noun. 감금, 억류. The animals were bred in captivity and released later. Systemic. Adjective. 시스템의 구조적인. The financial crisis was caused by systemic failures. Infamous. Adjective. 악명 높은. The city is infamous for its terrible traffic jams. Abduction. Noun. 유괴, 납치. The police are investigating the abduction of the child. Fortify. Verb. 강화하다, 요새화하다. They built walls to fortify the ancient city. Allocate. Verb. 할당하다. The government allocated more funds for public health. Stubbornly. Adverb. 완고하게. He stubbornly refused to admit his mistake. Perimeter. Noun. 주의, 경계선. Security guards patrol the perimeter of the factory. Compromised. Adjective. 위태로운, 손상된. The network security was compromised by hackers. Rampant. Adjective. 만연한. Rampant inflation is destroying the country's economy. 시사용어 해석.
이니셔티브. 문제 해결이나 목적 달성을 위해 정부나 기관이 주도하여 새롭게 시작하는 구상, 계획 또는 정책 프로그램을 뜻합니다. 8/3. Thousands gather for mass funeral of 112 members of Abu Sharia family in Gaza. In a heartbreaking scene in Gaza City, thousands of mourners gathered for the mass funeral of 112 members of the Abu Sharia and Hassaina families. These victims were killed in a devastating Israeli airstrike nearly 3 years ago. Surviving relatives expressed a tragic sense of relief at finally being able to lay their loved ones to rest after such a long wait. However, their grief was compounded by the agonizing thought of numerous other remains still trapped beneath the uncleared rubble. This somber event starkly illustrates the profound and enduring human toll inflicted by the prolonged conflict in the region. Vocabulary. Heartbreaking. Adjective. 가슴 아픈. It was heartbreaking to see the abandoned animals. Mourner. Noun. 조문객. 애도자. The church was filled with mourners dressed in black. Devastating. Adjective. 파괴적인. The earthquake had a devastating effect on the city. Airstrike. Noun. 공습. The military launched a targeted airstrike at dawn. Relative. Noun. 친척. 유가족. All of his close relatives attended the wedding. Compound. Verb. 가중시키다. 악화시키다. His financial problems were compounded by a sudden illness. Agonizing. Adjective. 고통스러운. They faced an agonizing wait for the test results. Rubble. Noun. 찬해. 돌무더기. Rescuers searched for survivors under the rubble. Somber. Adjective. 우울한, 침울한. The room was filled with a somber atmosphere. Inflict. Verb. 고통, 피해를 가하다. The hurricane inflicted severe damage on the coastal town. Mass funeral. 합동 장례식. 전쟁이나 대형 재난 등으로 인해 한꺼번에 많은 사람이 사망했을 때 유가족들이 모여 희생자들의 장례를 한 번에 치르는 의식입니다. 9. CBC Canada. 9-1. Russian missile and drone barrage in Ukrainian capital region kills 17. A massive barrage of Russian missiles and drones struck the Ukrainian capital region of Kyiv overnight, resulting in at least 17 fatalities and 42 injuries. The relentless attack heavily targeted civilian warehouses and critical infrastructure, causing widespread destruction. Ukraine's state emergency service quickly mobilized to extinguish fires and rescue victims trapped beneath the rubble. President Volodymyr Zelensky noted that the nation's severely depleted air defenses failed to intercept the incoming threats effectively. Consequently, he renewed his urgent appeals to international allies to provide more interceptor missiles. Vocabulary. Barrage. Noun, 집중포화. The speaker faced a barrage of angry questions. Fatality. Noun, 사망자수. The car crash resulted in one fatality. Relentless. Adjective, 끈질긴, 무자비한. The team maintained relentless pressure on their opponents. Infrastructure. Noun, 사회 기반 시설. The earthquake severely damaged the city's infrastructure. Mobilize. Verb, 동원하다. The government mobilized the army for disaster relief. Extinguish. Verb, 불을 끄다. It took firefighters 3 hours to extinguish the blaze. Rubble. Noun, 돌무더기, 잔해. Rescuers searched for survivors under the rubble. Deplete. Verb, 고갈시키다. Long periods of drought depleted the water reservoir. Intercept. Verb, 요격하다, 가로채다. The fighter jet was scrambled to intercept the enemy drone. Appeal. Noun, verb, 호소하다, 호소하다. The charity made a desperate appeal for donations. 시사용어 해설. Air defenses, 대공방어망. 적의 미사일이나 전투기가 영공으로 침투할 때 이를 레이더로 탐지하고 지대공 미사일 등으로 격추시켜 방어하는 시스템입니다.
9-2. Alberta government begins work repaving critical highway through Fort McMurray. The Alberta government has officially commenced a $6 million project to repave a critical 10-kilometer stretch of Highway 63, traversing Fort McMurray. This vital artery for commuter traffic had suffered from severe deterioration, prompting immense frustration among locals. The situation reached a boiling point in June when exasperated citizens took matters into their own hands and voluntarily filled the hazardous potholes. This powerful public outcry successfully pressured the provincial government to prioritize the infrastructure repair, despite tight budgetary constraints. Officials predict that the paving work will take about 2 weeks, bringing long-awaited relief to drivers. Vocabulary. Commence. Verb. 시작하다. The construction project will commence next month. Repave. Verb. 재포장하다. The city plans to repave the bumpy roads this summer. Traverse. Verb. 가로지르다. A beautiful river traverses the national park. Artery. Noun. 주요 도로, 동맥. Highway 1 is the main traffic artery of the region. Deterioration. Noun. 악화, 파손. Rust caused the gradual deterioration of the metal bridge. Exasperated. Adjective. 몹시 화가 난. The exasperated teacher finally raised his voice. Voluntarily. Adverb. 자발적으로. She voluntarily offered to organize the charity event. Outcry. Noun. 격렬한 항의. The new tax policy sparked a massive public outcry. Prioritize. Verb. 우선순위를 매기다. You need to prioritize your tasks to manage time effectively. Constraint. Noun. 제약, 제한. Budget constraints prevented us from hiring more staff. Foothold. 낡은 아스팔트 도로 표면이 비나 눈의 영향으로 약해져 냄비처럼 움푹 파인 구멍입니다. 차량 파손의 주된 원인이 됩니다.
Budgetary constraints.
예산 제약. 정부나 기업이 쓸 수 있는 돈이 한정되어 있어서 원하는 지출을 마음대로 할 수 없는 상황을 뜻합니다.
Number 9. 3. PEI's wild blueberry growers turn to science to help them improve their crop. Wild blueberry growers on Prince Edward Island, PEI, are increasingly turning to scientific methods to boost their agricultural yields. To tackle modern farming challenges, local farmers have hired a dedicated agronomist to explore innovative ways to improve crop health and output. The growers stated that the growing impacts of climate change and wildly fluctuating market prices make this scientific approach more critical than ever. By analyzing soil conditions and implementing advanced crop management techniques, they hope to secure a more stable future for the industry.
This initiative demonstrates a proactive adaptation to environmental and economic unpredictability. Vocabulary boost. Verb. Boost. 증대시키다. 밀어올리다. The new ad campaign helped to boost sales significantly. Yield. Noun. Verb. 수확량. 산출하다. The new fertilizer increased the crop yield by 20%. Tackle. Verb. 문제에 씨름하다. 다루다. The government is introducing new laws to tackle corruption. Agronomist. Noun. 농학자. The agronomist advised the farmer on soil conservation. Innovative. Adjective. 혁신적인. She proposed an innovative solution to the logistics problem. Fluctuating. Adjective. 변동이 심한. 요동치는. The wildly fluctuating stock market made investors nervous. Implement. Verb. 실행하다. 도입하다. The school will implement a new reading program next year. Stable. Adjective. 안정적인. He is looking for a job with a stable income. Proactive. Adjective. 주도적인. 선제적인. We need to take a proactive approach to preventing illnesses. Unpredictability. Noun. 예측 불가능성. The unpredictability of the weather ruined our picnic plans. 시사유머 해설. Agronomist. 농학자. 작물의 생산과 토양 관리 등 농업과 관련된 과학적 기술을 연구하고 농가에 조언을 제공하는 전문가입니다. Yield. 수확량, 수익률. 농업에서는 밭에서 거둬들이는 작물의 양을 뜻하며 금융에서는 투자한 돈 대비 얻는 이익의 비율, 수익률을 의미합니다.
10. DD India 10-1. Gaganyaan mission advances towards 2027 crewed flight. India's ambitious human spaceflight program is making significant strides, with the government confirming that the first crewed mission is targeted for 2027. As a crucial preparatory step, the initial uncrewed experimental flight of the Gaganyaan spacecraft is scheduled for the fourth quarter of 2026. Science and Technology Minister Jitendra Singh presented these major milestones to Parliament, highlighting the rapid advancement of India's indigenous space technology. Building upon the anticipated success of Gaganyaan, India has set a long-term goal to establish its own orbiting outpost, the Bharatiya Antariksh Station, by 2035. These projects reflect India's strong determination to cement its status as a global space superpower. Vocabulary. Ambitious. Adjective. 야심찬. The company announced an ambitious plan to double its revenue. Stride. Noun. 진전. 큰 걸음. Medicine has made great strides in treating cancer. Crewed. Adjective. 유인해. 승무원이 탄. The crewed mission to Mars requires immense preparation. Preparatory. Adjective. 준비해. They held a preparatory meeting before the main conference. Milestone. Noun. 이정표. 중대한 단계. Graduating from college was a major milestone in his life. Indigenous. Adjective. 독자적인. 국산해. The tribe preserves its indigenous culture and language. Anticipated. Adjective. 예상되는. 기대되는. The anticipated costs were much lower than the actual expenses. Outpost. Noun. 전초기지. The research station serves as an outpost in Antarctica. Determination. Noun. 결의. 결심. Her determination to succeed helped her overcome obstacles. Cement. Verb. 확고히 하다. The treaty cemented the peaceful relationship between them. Crewed mission. 유인 우주 임무. 우주선에 우주 비행사가 직접 타고 나가는 임무입니다. 반대로 기계만 가는 것은 uncrewed, 무인 미션입니다. Space Station. 우주 정거장. 우주 비행사들이 우주 궤도에 장기간 머물면서 과학 실험 등을 할 수 있도록 만들어 놓은 거대한 인공위성형 기지입니다. 10-2. Iran and Oman reach understanding on coordinates of route through Hormuz. Iran and Oman have successfully reached a mutual understanding concerning the precise geographic coordinates for a shipping route through the strategic Strait of Hormuz. An Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson confirmed that a joint announcement is being finalized, provided that, quote, third parties do not interfere. However, the spokesperson cautioned that this bilateral agreement alone cannot completely guarantee the overall security of the waterway. The proposed framework reportedly grants Tehran significant control over inbound maritime traffic, representing a major concession to Iran.
While U.S. officials hinted at an imminent deal, regional sources insist that crucial operational details still need to be ironed out. Vocabulary. Coordinate. Noun. 좌표. The pilot entered the geographic coordinates into the GPS. Strategic. Adjective. 전략적인. The island holds a highly strategic position in the ocean. Finalize. Verb. 마무리 짓다. We need to finalize the contract by tomorrow morning. Interfere. Verb. 간섭하다. 개입하다. I try not to interfere in my children's personal lives. Caution. Verb. 주의를 주다. 경고하다. The police cautioned the public to lock their doors at night. Bilateral. Adjective. 양자이. 쌍방이. The two nations signed a bilateral trade agreement. Framework. Noun. 빌대. 틀. We established a basic framework for the new project. Concession. Noun. 양보. The union demanded wage increases without any concessions. Inbound. Adjective. 안으로 들어오는. Expect heavy delays for inbound traffic this evening. Iron out. Verb phrase. 문제 등을 해결하다. We need to iron out a few problems before launching the app. 시사 용어 해설. Geographic coordinates. 지리적 좌표. 위도와 경도를 이용해 지구 표면상의 특정 위치를 숫자로 정확히 나타낸 것입니다. 바다에서는 선박의 항로를 정할 때 씁니다. Concession. 양보. 외교 협상 등에서 서로 의견이 맞설 때 타결을 위해 상대방의 요구를 일부 들어주거나 자신이 가진 권리를 포기하는 행위를 말합니다.
10/3. Nitin Gadkari confers Sarvatam Jivan Ruksha Padak on 12 rat miners. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has formally conferred the prestigious Sarvatam Jivan Ruksha Padak on 12 traditional rat miners for their heroic actions. These miners were recognized for their exceptional courage and selfless service during the treacherous Silkyara tunnel rescue operation. When modern heavy machinery failed, these experts used their manual, narrow-space digging techniques to successfully rescue all the trapped workers. The government praised their unwavering bravery in the face of immense danger, officially hailing them as national heroes. This award ceremony served as a profound acknowledgement of the critical, life-saving role played by these unsung laborers. Vocabulary. Confer. Verb. 수여하다. The university conferred an honorary degree upon the scientist. Prestigious. Adjective. 권위 있는, 명망 있는. She was accepted into a highly prestigious medical school. Exceptional. Adjective. 뛰어난, 예외적인. The chef is known for his exceptional culinary skills. Selfless. Adjective. 이타적인. His selfless actions saved many lives during the fire. Treacherous. Adjective. 위험천만한, 기만적인. The hikers navigated through treacherous mountain paths. Manual. Adjective. 수동의, 육체노동의. The job requires a lot of hard manual labor. Unwavering. Adjective. 확고한, 흔들리지 않는. She has my unwavering support in this election. Hail. Verb. 환호하며 맞이하다, 묘사하다. The local press hailed him as a hometown hero. Acknowledgement. Noun. 인정, 감사. He received a bonus in acknowledgement of his hard work. Unsung. Adjective. 찬양받지 못한, 숨은. The volunteers are the unsung heroes of our community. 시사용어 해설. Rat mining. 쥐구멍 채굴. 사람이 간신히 들어갈 수 있는 아주 좁은 구멍을 뚫고 들어가 수작업으로 광물을 캐내는 인도의 전통적이고 위험한 채굴 방식입니다. 이번 구조 현장에서는 좁은 터널 잔해를 뚫는 데 결정적인 역할을 했습니다. Confer an award. 상을 수여하다. 정부나 기관이 공식적으로 훈장, 학위, 상 등을 줄 때 쓰는 격식 있는 표현입니다.